Leadership begins with your voice, long before your actions, long before your reputation, long before your results. The way you speak reveals your inner architecture. When you talk like a leader, you move differently, you negotiate differently, and people respond to you differently. This audiobook will teach you the discipline, the psychology, and the strategy behind a voice that commands respect without aggression and influence without noise. Today, you stop speaking like everyone else, and you start communicating like a leader.
You talk too much. Let's start there. Not because you're weak, but because nobody taught you the power of restraint. Leaders don't speak to entertain. They speak to direct. They speak to decide. They speak to move people toward clarity, not confusion. And that's the principle you are going to master right now. Say less, mean more. Let your silence carry weight. Because here is the truth. Most people talk to be heard. Leaders talk to be understood. And there's a massive difference. When you speak less, something powerful happens. People lean in. People listen. People take your words seriously because they are not lost in noise. Noise is your enemy. Noise is what steals your authority. Noise is what makes your voice forgettable when it should be unforgettable. Say less, mean more. You have a choice. Every time you open your mouth, you choose. Will I add clarity or will I add clutter? Will I speak with purpose or will I speak out of habit? That's the key. Leadership begins with intention, not volume, not charisma. Intention. Think about a military briefing. No fluff, no nonsense, no rambling explanations. Every sentence has a job. Every word earns its place. Why? Because clarity saves lives. Clarity creates direction. Clarity eliminates uncertainty before uncertainty destroys momentum. You don't need to be in the military to learn this lesson. You just need discipline. And remember, it's not about talking less. It's about talking with intention. Look at any high-level executive meeting. The people with power never rush their words. They never fill the room with unnecessary sentences. They speak. They stop. They let their presence speak louder than their volume. That is your new model. Speak, stop, let your silence do its job. Because silence is not emptiness. Silence is space. Space for your words to land. Space for your authority to be felt. Space for others to recognize that you speak with purpose. Say less, mean more. Here's what most people do wrong. They talk fast because they're afraid of being interrupted. They talk long because they think more words equal more value. They over-explain because they lack confidence in their own decisions. But you? Not anymore. That ends today. You have a choice, and you're going to choose discipline over impulse. You're going to choose clarity over noise. You're going to choose presence over panic. Because this is not about sounding smart. It's about sounding certain. Certain people don't ramble. Certain people don't over-explain. Certain people don't beg for validation hidden inside long sentences. You don't need their permission. You don't need their approval. You don't need to justify every thought you have. Leaders speak, then allow silence to hold the space. Followers talk endlessly trying to fill it. Let's break down the shift you must make. 1. Slow down your speech. Most people speak fast because their mind is racing. But leaders slow the pace. They breathe between thoughts. They allow their message to unfold deliberately. When you slow down, you appear more intelligent. When you slow down, you appear more confident. When you slow down, you appear more prepared. Slow is strong. Slow is intentional. Slow is leadership. Practice it. Speak one sentence. Pause. Let it land. Then continue. It will feel uncomfortable at first. Good. Growth always does. Number 2. Remove extra words. Strip your sentences clean, like a sculptor removing excess stone to reveal a masterpiece. You don't need every detail. You don't need every side explanation. You don't need to say everything that crosses your mind. Here's your rule. If the sentence doesn't move the message forward, remove it. If the word doesn't clarify the point, delete it. This is authority in action. This is discipline. Say less, mean more. Number 3, make your pauses intentional. A pause is not hesitation. A pause is presence. A pause shows you are in control. Most people run from silence. Leaders use silence. Silence gives weight to your words. Silence forces attention. Silence signals that you are not rushed, not afraid, not reactive. You have a choice. Speak out of fear or speak out of power. Choose power. Choose pause. Choose presence. Number 4, stop explaining yourself. You weaken your voice every time you over-explain. You weaken your authority every time you justify. You weaken your presence every time you repeat what doesn't need to be repeated. Here's the truth. If someone doubts your decision, more words won't fix it. Confidence will. Leaders don't convince. Leaders communicate. One clear message, one clear decision, delivered once, calmly. Say it, stand behind it, let silence finish the job. Number 5, speak only when it matters. Leaders don't react to every comment, question, or emotion in the room. They choose their moments. You don't need to speak to prove you're smart. You don't need to speak to fill the space. You don't need to speak to compete with noise. Remember, your value is not in the frequency of your words, but in the weight of your words. And weight comes from scarcity, from discipline, from intention. Say less, mean more. Let your silence carry weight. Real-world transformation exercise. For the next 72 hours, do this. Before answering any question, pause for 2 seconds, just 2. And in those 2 seconds, ask yourself, is this essential? Does this add clarity? Does this move the message forward? If the answer is no, don't say it. Cut it. Let it die in silence. Because silence is your new ally. You have a choice: noise or leadership, fluff or discipline, impulsivity or intention. Choose intention. This is the beginning of your transformation. You've taken control of your words. Now it's time to take control of your tone. Because the voice is not only what you say, it's how you say it.
You want to talk like a leader? Then you must remove every weak word from your vocabulary, every filler, every softener, every phrase that signals insecurity instead of certainty. Because here's the truth. You don't lose authority in big moments. You lose it in the tiny, casual, everyday sentences you don't even notice. The ums, the likes, the, I think, the maybe, the sort of. These words destroy your presence. They dilute your message. They make you sound unsure, even when you know exactly what you mean. Strong voice, strong message, strong mind. Say it again. Strong voice, strong message, strong mind. Leaders speak with clarity. Followers speak with hesitation. You have a choice. Do you want your voice to carry strength or uncertainty? That's the key. Your vocabulary shapes how people perceive your competence. And more importantly, it shapes how you perceive yourself. Weak language is not about communication. Weak language is about habits. It's about undisciplined thinking leaking out through your words. It's not about sounding smart. It's about speaking with discipline. Let's break it down. Section 1. The hidden damage of weak words. Every time you say, "I think," you tell the world you're unsure, even when you're not. Every time you say, "Maybe we should," you signal hesitation, even when the idea is solid. Every time you say, "I'm not sure, but," you lower your authority before you even begin. And the worst part? You don't even hear it, because weak language is unconscious, automatic, reflexive. But leaders don't speak on reflex. Leaders speak with intention. Leaders speak with control. Here's the truth no one told you. People judge your confidence before they judge your ideas, your tone, your pace, your vocabulary. They decide whether people believe you before they even process what you said. Strong voice, strong message, strong mind. You don't need their permission to speak with strength. You don't need their approval to sound certain. You just need discipline. It's not about personality. It's about practice. Section 2. Real corporate examples. Let me show you the power of removing weak language. Example 1. The meeting room shift. A mid-level manager walked into a meeting and pitched a project like this. So I was thinking maybe we could try adjusting the process a little because, it might help efficiency. Everyone ignored him. 2 weeks later, after training, he walked in again and said, "We are adjusting the process. Here's the 3-step plan and the outcome we expect." Same idea, different language, different result. Leadership responded instantly. Great. Move forward. Why? Because clarity leads the room. Hesitation loses the room. Example 2. Negotiation confidence. A negotiator used to say, "I think we can get this done. I hope this works for you. Maybe we could consider." Deals slipped. Clients didn't trust the direction. Her voice didn't match the strength of her proposal. When she changed her vocabulary to, "We can get this done. This works. Here's the direction we're taking," her close rate skyrocketed. Not because she became smarter, because she became stronger. Strong voice, strong message, strong mind. Example 3. Executive presence. A senior executive removed every softener from his speech for 30 days. No, I think. No, maybe. No, I guess. He said only what he meant. Direct, clean, absolute. He reported one thing. I didn't become more confident. I just stopped sounding less confident. That's the key. Section 3. The transformation you must make. You are going to rebuild your speaking style from the ground up, word by word, sentence by sentence, habit by habit. Because communication is not a talent. Communication is a discipline. and weak language is a lack of discipline. You have a choice. Keep talking the way you always have, or upgrade your voice into a tool of leadership. Let's start now. Section 4. Eliminate these 10 weak phrases immediately. Throw these in the trash. I think. Say, here's what we're doing. Maybe we should. Say, we will. I'm not sure, but say, here's the direction. I guess. Say, the plan is. Sort of. Kind of. Say nothing. Remove it. You know? No, they don't. Explain it clearly or don't. Does that make sense? This signals insecurity. Replace with, any questions? I just wanted to. Remove the apology. Say, I'm here to. Hopefully. Hope is not a strategy. Say, we expect. Maybe it's wrong, but never apologize before you speak. Say what you came to say. Strong voice, strong message, strong mind. Section 5. The 24-hour discipline exercise. For the next 24 hours, every time you catch yourself saying a weak phrase, stop mid-sentence. Correct it. Say it again, stronger. You will feel uncomfortable. Good. That means transformation is happening. This is not about sounding aggressive. This is not about being rude. This is not about ego. It's about discipline. It's about clarity. It's about communicating like someone who believes in what they say. You don't need their permission to speak with certainty. You just need to remove the weaknesses that dilute your message. Most people speak with insecurity. Most people speak with hesitation. Most people speak with verbal clutter. But you are choosing leadership. You have a choice, flaw or discipline, weakness or strength, noise or authority. Choose authority. Choose clarity. Choose the leader's voice. Strong voice, strong message, strong mind. Chapter 2, Closing Transition. You've removed weak language. Your voice is stronger. Your message is tighter. Your confidence is rising. Now it's time for the next level, because powerful words mean nothing if your tone betrays you. You strengthened your vocabulary. Now strengthen your presence.
You have a voice, but a voice without control is noise. A voice without discipline is chaos. A voice without tone is weakness pretending to be strength. This is the moment you learn one of the most important truths in leadership communication. Control your tone, or your tone will control you. It's not your words that decide your authority. It's not your vocabulary. It's not your intelligence. It's your tone. Your tone is your energy. Your tone is your certainty. Your tone is your presence. People don't follow loudness. They follow steadiness. They follow calm. They follow a voice that does not shake under pressure. You have a choice: react with emotion or respond with control. That's the key, because tone is not about sounding nice. Tone is about sounding in command. And command begins with one thing: emotional discipline. It's not about passion. It's about control. It's not about intensity. It's about stability. It's not about shouting. It's about certainty. Let me tell you something few people realize. A loud person looks desperate. A calm person looks dominant. Because calm is power. Calm is clarity. Calm is strength under pressure. Control your tone, or your tone will control you. Section 1.
Why tone decides your authority. The brain reacts to tone before it interprets words, before meaning, before logic, before content. You open your mouth and people feel you before they understand you. That's why leaders in elite environments, CEOs, special forces officers, diplomats, all master one thing first: a calm, controlled, steady tone. Because a controlled tone signals, I am not threatened, I am not overwhelmed, I am not emotional, I am in charge. A chaotic tone signals the opposite, I am insecure, I am uncertain, I am losing control. Here's the truth: people do not follow those who sound unstable. Even if your message is brilliant, an unstable tone destroys it. You have a choice: tone based on emotion or tone based on discipline. Remember, it's not about sounding loud. It's about sounding certain. Section 2. Real examples from elite communicators. Example 1. The CEO in crisis. During a major company collapse, 2 executives spoke to employees. One spoke fast, voice shaking, tone rising and falling, trying to sound reassuring but failing. He lost the room in 30 seconds. The other executive spoke slowly, calmly, evenly. No rush, no panic, no emotional spikes. One sentence at a time. Each sentence grounded, each sentence controlled. People leaned in. People trusted him. People followed him. Why? Because tone beats information. Tone beats charisma. Tone beats personality. Tone signals stability, and stability is leadership. Control your tone, or your tone will control you. Example 2. The Special Forces leader. In Special Forces, shouting is not leadership, it's noise. The leader who stays calm in chaos earns absolute respect. Bullets are flying, alarms are sounding, tension is high, and yet the leader speaks in a low, steady, controlled voice. No panic, no rush, no desperation. Because the team knows if the leader is calm, they can be calm. If the leader is steady, they can focus. If the leader sounds certain, they can perform. Tone becomes a weapon. Tone becomes a stabilizer. Tone becomes a message. We are in control. Example 3. The diplomat in negotiation. High-level diplomatic negotiations are battles without bullets. Words are ammunition. Tone is armor. A diplomat never raises their voice, never shows anger, never reacts emotionally. They speak like still water, clean, controlled, predictable. This scares opponents more than shouting ever could, because a controlled tone communicates, you cannot shake me, you cannot bait me, you cannot break my presence. Strong tone, strong message, strong mind. Section 3. The tone problem most people have. Most people don't lack good ideas. They lack good tone. They speak with tension, nervousness, speed, volume spikes, emotional leakage, and uncontrolled reactions. But leadership requires emotional discipline. And emotional discipline begins with vocal discipline. You think you have a communication problem. You don't. You have a tone problem. It's not about your content. It's about your control. You have a choice. Keep reacting through your tone, or start commanding through your tone. Section 4. The 5 tone corrections you must make. 1. Slow down your voice. Fast voices sound anxious. Slow voices sound confident. Leaders don't rush. Leaders pace. Leaders breathe. Slow equals strong. 2. Drop your volume, don't raise it. A lower, calmer tone signals control. A higher, harsher tone signals insecurity. When you lower your volume, people listen more. Raise your voice and you lose them. Lower your voice and you lead them. 3. Remove emotional spikes. Stop letting your tone jump when you're excited, angry, or scared. Emotional spikes signal instability. You control the tone, not the emotion. 4. Keep your tone even. Stability is leadership. Consistency is leadership. Predictability is leadership. A steady tone communicates discipline. 5. Breathe between sentences. Breathing controls tone. Tone controls presence. Presence controls people. This is discipline. This is leadership. This is communication mastery. Control your tone, or your tone will control you. Section 6. The 60-second tone reset exercise. Every time you feel your voice rising, your tone shaking, or your emotions leaking out, do this. Step 1. Inhale for 4 seconds. Exhale for 4 seconds. Step 2. Lower your volume by 10%. Slow your pace by 20%. Step 3. Deliver your next sentence calmly, steadily, deliberately. This resets your power instantly. Because when you calm your tone, you calm your mind. And when you calm your mind, you control the room. Strong tone, strong message, strong mind. Section 7. Why tone is a leadership guarantee. You can mess up a sentence. You can forget a point. You can get a fact wrong. But if your tone stays calm, people will still trust you. Because tone is the signal of emotional stability. Tone is the mark of authority. Tone is the foundation of leadership presence. Tone is the invisible message that decides everything. You don't need their permission to control your tone. You just need discipline. Discipline over emotion. Discipline over reactivity. Discipline over weakness. You have a choice: flaw or discipline, reaction or control, noise or authority. Choose authority, choose control, choose the leader's tone. Control your tone, or your tone will control you. Chapter 3, Closing Transition. You've strengthened your tone. You've learned the discipline of calm. You've discovered the power of vocal control. Now, you must master the next layer of leadership communication, your body language. Because your voice is powerful, but your presence is louder. You've built a strong tone. Now, build a strong presence.
Speed is the enemy of authority. Fast talk is nervous talk. Rush talk is insecure talk. Chaotic talk is unfocused talk. And leadership cannot survive in a rushed mind. A leader knows this. A leader understands this. A leader practices this. Because a leader speaks with pace. A leader speaks with intention. A leader speaks with gravity. Today, you will learn one of the purest, most underestimated disciplines of powerful communication. The discipline of slowing down your speech. Not just to sound calm, not just to look confident, but to own the room without raising your voice. Because the truth is simple. Slow is strong. Slow is certain. Slow is leadership. And you have a choice. You can continue speaking at the speed of anxiety, or you can begin speaking at the speed of power. That's the key. The reality, fast talking weakens you. Fast talkers don't sound smart.
They sound scared. They sound unprepared. They sound like they're trying to outrun their own thoughts. And people can feel it. When you talk fast, you tell the world, I'm not in control. I'm reacting, not leading. I'm trying to impress instead of direct. It's not about sounding intelligent. It's about communicating certainty. It's not about being perfect. It's about being intentional. And intentional communication requires one thing: pacing. Slow your words. Slow your breathing. Slow your thoughts. Slow your delivery. Because every time you slow down, your authority rises. Slow is strong. Slow is certain. Slow is leadership. Scenario 1, the executive boardroom. Picture this. Two executives are presenting. One speaks fast, rushing through slides, tripping over sentences, trying to say everything before someone interrupts. The other speaks slowly, deliberately, clearly. Which one is trusted? The slow one. Always. Why? Because slowness communicates control, and control communicates leadership. The fast speaker sounds like someone who needs approval. The slow speaker sounds like someone who already has it. You don't need their permission. You don't need their validation. You need discipline. And discipline begins with pace. Scenario 2, Special Forces training. Look at elite military units, Special Forces, Navy Command, counter-terror teams. Have you ever heard them talk fast during a briefing? No. They speak like every sentence matters, like every instruction is life or death, like rushing would cost them control, because it does. Their pacing commands respect. Their pacing creates clarity. Their pacing inspires confidence. They don't rush. They don't ramble. They don't fill space. They lead. Quietly, deliberately, powerfully. Slow is strong. Slow is certain. Slow is leadership. You have a choice. You can continue speaking at the speed of anxiety, or you can begin speaking at the speed of power. That's the key. The psychology behind leaders' pace. Here's the truth behind why pace matters. When you slow down, you sound more confident. You sound more prepared. You sound more trustworthy. You sound more intelligent. You sound more in control. People judge leaders not by the words they use, but by the pace they use. Talking slower shows you're comfortable in your own power, comfortable with silence, comfortable with attention, comfortable with responsibility. Fast talk is a shield. Slow talk is leadership. Fast talk is fear. Slow talk is discipline. Fast talk tries to prove something. Slow talk proves everything. You want to lead. Control your pace. That's the key. How to train the leader's pace. Here are the practical steps you must follow. Step 1, breathe before you speak. A 2-second breath. It resets your nervous system. It tells your mind, you're in control. Step 2, start your sentences slower than feels natural. Your instinct will be to rush. Fight that instinct. You don't need their permission to take your time. Step 3, use intentional pauses. A pause is not weakness. A pause is presence. A pause is pressure. A pause is power. Step 4, end your sentences cleanly. Don't trail off. Don't soften the impact. Finish strong. Then pause. Step 5, listen more than you speak. The slower you speak, the more you hear. The more you hear, the more wisely you speak. That's the discipline of leadership. Slow is strong. Slow is certain. Slow is leadership. You have a choice. You can rush or you can lead. the transformation you must commit to. From this moment forward, make a decision. You will never speak at the speed of your emotions again. You will speak at the speed of your discipline. You will never rush because someone else is rushing. You will bring the room into your pace. You will never try to outrun your own thoughts. You will slow them down until they obey you. Because that's what leaders do. Leaders don't talk fast. Leaders talk with direction, with intention, with authority. Your pace is your presence. Your pace is your clarity. Your pace is your strength. Slow is strong. Slow is certain. Slow is leadership. Own that. Practice that. Live that. Transition to next chapter. You've learned to master your pace. Now you must master something even more powerful, the discipline that separates amateurs from leaders. You controlled your speed. Now it's time to control your value.
Leaders do not ramble. Leaders do not justify. Leaders do not beg for understanding. Leaders decide, speak the decision, and move forward. That's the standard. That's the discipline. That's the difference. And today, you will learn one of the most liberating shifts you will ever make in your communication. Stop explaining yourself. Because explaining is not leading. Explaining is asking for permission. Explaining is trying to control how others feel about you. You don't need their permission. You don't need their approval. You need clarity. You need certainty. You need direction. State your decision, then stop talking. That's the key. The disease of over-explaining. Most people don't communicate. They defend themselves. They justify themselves. They talk in circles, hoping to avoid judgment. But leaders don't do that. Leaders understand something essential. When you over-explain, you weaken your position. When you over-explain, you lose authority. When you over-explain, you give your power away. It's not about intelligence. It's about discipline. It's not about being liked. It's about being effective. You have a choice. Keep explaining your every move, or start speaking like someone who knows where they're going. Why explaining makes you sound weak. Every unnecessary explanation sends a message. I'm unsure. I'm insecure. I'm afraid of what you think. And people pick up on this immediately. When you explain, you try to soften your decisions. When you explain, you try to protect other people's comfort. When you explain, you lower your voice without lowering your volume. Leaders don't soften decisions. Leaders deliver them. State your decision, then stop talking. Scenario 1. The manager who talked himself out of respect. A manager had to assign a new project. Simple, clear, direct. But instead of saying, "John, you're leading the new rollout," he launched into a 5-minute speech. "I was thinking maybe you'd be a good fit. I don't want you to feel pressured. You don't have to do it if you're too busy. I just thought you might want the opportunity." He thought he was being considerate. He thought he was being polite. But what he really did was show fear. Fear of conflict. Fear of responsibility. Fear of owning a decision. And the team felt it. Respect dropped. Authority slipped. Clarity disappeared. He didn't lose respect because the decision was wrong. He lost respect because he explained it to death.
Leaders don't talk their decisions into weakness. Leaders deliver decisions with strength. State your decision, then stop talking. Scenario 2. The entrepreneur who talked away the deal. A startup founder had an investor ready to commit. The deal was clean, straightforward, done. But during the final call, the founder started explaining why the market was uncertain, why last quarter's numbers dipped, why the team was still adjusting, why the product was behind. None of this was necessary. None of this was asked. None of this helped. The investor pulled back, not because the business was weak, but because the leader sounded insecure. Remember this. People judge your confidence more than your explanation. People trust your conviction more than your details. People follow your certainty more than your defense. It's not about proving yourself. It's about standing firm. State your decision, then stop talking. Scenario 3. The leader who earned more respect with fewer words. Now imagine the opposite of this. A department head announces a shift in direction. Our priority for Q2 is retention. All teams will redirect focus immediately. No justification, no defensiveness, no explaining the past, just a clear direction. And the room adjusts. Instinctively. Immediately. They don't need to be convinced. They don't need a speech. They need clarity. The message was strong because it was clean. The message was respected because it was final. That's leadership. The root of over-explaining. Fear. People explain because they fear. Fear of misunderstanding. Fear of judgment. Fear of disappointing others. Fear of saying the wrong thing. Fear of not sounding smart enough. Fear of being perceived as controlling. But here's the truth. Over-explaining doesn't prevent those fears. It creates them. It's not about fear. It's about discipline. It's not about comfort. It's about clarity. Leaders choose clarity over comfort every time, because clarity moves things forward. Comfort slows everything down. You have a choice. Choose clarity. The discipline you must build. Here's how you break the over-explaining habit. 1. Know your point before you speak. Decide. Commit. Deliver. No backtracking. 2. State the conclusion first. Not the story, not the justification, the conclusion. Then stop. 3. Silence is part of the message. Don't rush to fill the air. Don't soften the blow. Don't backpedal. The silence after a strong statement is where authority is born. 4. If they need clarity, they will ask, and you will answer briefly, not defensively, not emotionally, not apologetically. 5. Practice ending sentences with a period, not a paragraph. Strong message, clear point, full stop. State your decision, then stop talking. This transformation is liberating. When you stop explaining yourself, you unlock a shift. Your presence becomes heavier. Your decisions become cleaner. Your message becomes sharper. Your leadership becomes real. People listen differently. People respond differently. People follow differently. Not because you became louder, but because you became clearer. Not because you became aggressive, but because you became intentional. Leaders speak in conclusions. Followers speak in explanations. It's time to decide who you want to be. You have a choice. Choose leadership.
Most people don't speak with purpose. They speak for approval. They speak to be accepted. They speak to avoid judgment. But leaders do the opposite. Leaders speak from clarity. Leaders speak from conviction. Leaders speak from direction. And you must understand this truth. If your goal is to be liked, you will never be respected. If your goal is to be accepted, you will never be followed. If your goal is to be approved, you will never be a leader. Because leadership has nothing to do with approval. Leadership has everything to do with purpose. You speak to lead, not to be liked. You speak to direct, not to please. You speak to move things forward, not to fit in. That's the key. The approval trap. Approval seeking is not a flaw. It is a habit built over years of trying to stay small, stay safe, stay agreeable. You have a choice. Keep protecting your image or start projecting your leadership. Approval seeking kills your authority in 3 ways. 1. You overtalk. You add unnecessary words. You soften your statements. You bury the message under insecurity. 2. You over-apologize. You say sorry when you didn't do anything wrong. You apologize for existing. You apologize for taking space. 3. You over-explain. You justify every decision. You defend every action. You beg for understanding. These behaviors do not make you likable. They make you forgettable. They make you replaceable. They make you appear uncertain. It's not about being perfect. It's about being disciplined. You speak to lead, not to be liked. The psychology behind approval seeking. Why do people overtalk, over-apologize, and over-explain? Simple. They're afraid. Afraid of not being accepted, afraid of being misunderstood, afraid of conflict, afraid of disappointing others. But here is the truth only leaders understand. Seeking approval does not make people accept you. It makes them dismiss you. Because people respect clarity, not approval. People follow conviction, not compliance. People trust purpose, not insecurity. You don't need their permission. You don't need their validation. You don't need their applause. You need direction. You need certainty. You need discipline. And that discipline begins with speaking for purpose, not for praise. Real-world scenario 1. The employee who apologized away his power. A young professional stepped into a meeting to present a simple update. Instead of delivering it directly, he started with, "Sorry, this might not be important. Sorry, I'll be quick. Sorry if this doesn't make sense." Before he even communicated a single idea, he apologized 3 times. What message did he send? I don't believe in what I'm saying. I don't trust myself. I'm unsure of my value. Not one person in the room took him seriously. Not because his ideas were bad, because his communication was apologetic. You have a choice.
Speak like someone waiting for permission, or speak like someone with purpose. You speak to lead, not to be liked. Real-world scenario 2, the manager who talked past the point. A manager was asked for an update. Where are we on the client proposal? All he had to say was, we're at 80%, final review by end of day. 7 seconds. Clear, strong, done. Instead, he rambled. He explained every delay. He justified every small detail. He filled the space because he feared being judged. The result? His message got lost. His team lost confidence. His authority evaporated. Leaders do not talk past the point. Leaders talk to the point. It's not about being thorough. It's about being precise. You speak to lead, not to be liked. Real-world scenario 3, the leader who spoke only when needed. Now the contrast. A senior executive walks into a meeting. Everyone is talking. Everyone is arguing. Everyone is trying to sound smart. He waits, listens, observes. Then he speaks one sentence. Here's the decision. Move forward. Silence, authority, direction. He didn't explain. He didn't apologize. He didn't seek approval. He spoke with purpose, and everyone adjusted instantly. That's leadership. Not volume, not speed, not approval. Purpose. The discipline of purposeful speaking. If you want to speak like a leader, you must practice these rules. 1. Speak only when necessary. Don't fill space. Don't perform. Don't chase reactions. Speak because the mission requires it. 2. Remove apologies that aren't true apologies. If you didn't harm someone, don't say sorry. Apologizing for your presence destroys your strength. 3. Deliver conclusions, not emotional disclaimers. Be direct, be concise, be intentional. Your job is clarity, not comfort. 4. Eliminate approval-seeking questions from your speech. Stop saying, "Does that make sense? Is that okay? Are you sure you agree?" These questions are not clarity, they are insecurity. If clarity is needed, state it. If direction is needed, give it. 5. Accept that not everyone will like you. And that's fine. Leadership is not popularity. Leadership is responsibility. It's not about being liked. It's about being effective. The moment you stop seeking approval, everything changes. Your tone changes. Your posture changes. Your presence changes. Your words carry weight. People listen more. People follow more. People trust more. Not because you became aggressive, not because you became cold, not because you became distant, but because you became certain. Certainty is magnetic. Certainty is powerful. Certainty is leadership. And certainty comes from speaking with purpose, not speaking for approval. You have a choice. Choose purpose. Choose clarity. Choose leadership. You speak to lead, not to be liked. That's the discipline. That's the transformation. That's the shift you came here to make. Transition to next chapter. You just learned how to remove approval from your voice. Now it's time to remove the emotional noise that blocks authority. Purpose is the foundation. Control is the frame.
Silence. Most people fear it. Leaders don't. Leaders use it. Because silence is not empty. Silence is leverage. You've been trained your whole life to fill the space, to explain, to justify, to smooth over discomfort.
But that conditioning is the very thing that strips you of power. You have a choice, and that's the key. You can keep talking to feel safe, or you can learn the discipline of silence and finally become someone who commands rooms without raising your voice. Let me say it again so your mind remembers it. Silence is not empty. Silence is leverage. The psychology of silence. Why does silence intimidate people? Because silence forces truth to surface. Silence forces the other person to reveal their intentions. Silence forces decisions. People who can't handle silence reveal their insecurity. People who rush to fill silence expose their desperation. People who crumble in silence surrender their leverage. But a leader? A leader sits in silence like a king sits on a throne. Calm, certain, unmoved. You don't need their permission to pause. You don't need their validation to stay quiet. You don't need to chase anybody's approval with constant words. It's not about noise. It's about discipline. The discipline to hold your ground when others feel uneasy. The discipline to wait 3 seconds longer than the room expects. The discipline to keep your power instead of spilling it through nervous talking. Remember this: silence is not empty. Silence is leverage. How silence wins negotiations. Negotiation is a battlefield. Most people lose because they talk too much. They explain too much. They rush to fill every gap with justification. A leader negotiates differently. A leader uses silence like a sword. A leader says the number, then stops talking. Here's what I need. Then silence. Not a nervous smile, not a softener, not a desperate attempt to defend the request. Just silence. Let them react. Let them squirm. Let them reveal their real position. You have a choice. You can negotiate like someone begging, or like someone who knows their worth. That's the key. The person who breaks the silence first usually loses leverage. You don't break. You breathe. You wait. Because silence is not empty. Silence is leverage. The job interview case study. Here's a real example. A young professional walked into a job interview for a management role. Solid resume, good presence. But what made him stand out wasn't his experience. It was his silence. When asked, "What are your salary expectations?" he simply said, "I'm looking for a package in the 140 to 160 range." Then he stopped. He didn't justify it. He didn't say, "if that's okay." He didn't explain the market rate, his background, or his worth. He said the number and held the silence. The interviewer shifted in her chair. She waited for him to panic and lower the number. He didn't. She folded first. He got the top of the range because he used the discipline most people avoid. Silence. Say it again with me. Silence is not empty. Silence is leverage. The business deal where silence closed the contract. Another case. 2 partners negotiating a collaboration. One partner was eager, excited, talked endlessly about possibilities. The other partner? A seasoned leader. He listened. And whenever the first partner paused, he didn't jump in. He let the silence stretch. He let the other man talk more and more and more. By the end of the meeting, the eager partner had already convinced himself. He revealed his weaknesses, his timelines, his financial pressure. Information he never intended to share. The quiet leader used all that information to structure a deal completely in his favor. Why? Because silence forces the truth out of people who fear it. Remember, you don't need their permission to wait. You don't need to fill the air. You don't need to prove yourself. Silence is not empty. Silence is leverage. The meeting where silence established authority. Picture this: a heated leadership meeting, voices rising, people talking over each other, everyone trying to sound smart, everyone trying to dominate. Then a leader walks in. He says nothing. He sits. He observes. He waits. Within a minute, the room quiets. Why? Because silence is a signal, a psychological command, a projection of certainty without needing to enforce it. When he finally speaks, every person leans in. His words land harder because they aren't drowned in noise. They stand alone, undiluted, precise. That's the power you're building. Not a loud voice, a disciplined one. How you apply this in daily life. This is where transformation happens. This is your training. Starting today, start practicing these commands. 1. Pause before you answer. Even 2 seconds will shift the power dynamic. 2 seconds says, I'm not rushed. 2 seconds says, I choose my words. 2 seconds says, I lead. 2. Stop explaining your decisions. Say the decision. Then silence. Let people process. Let people respond. Let people show who they are. 3. Use silence when someone challenges you. No need to defend instantly. No need to justify. Look them in the eyes. Hold the silence. They'll either soften or reveal their insecurity. 4. Sit in silence when emotions rise. Don't talk when angry. Don't talk when afraid. Don't talk when triggered. Silence protects you. Silence stabilizes you. Silence keeps you from giving away power. 5. End conversations with intention. Stop rambling. Stop softening your message. Stop apologizing. Speak the conclusion. Then allow silence to carry its weight. You have a choice. You can keep leaking power through noise, or you can build power through discipline. Say it one more time. Silence is not empty. Silence is leverage. Closing the chapter. Silence is not weakness. Silence is intelligence. Silence is control. Silence is the mark of someone who leads with intention instead of insecurity. You mastered the discipline of silence. Now it's time to strengthen the next layer of leadership, the discipline that shapes every interaction you'll ever have.
Complexity kills authority. Long-winded explanations kill influence. Overthinking kills decisiveness. Leaders don't speak in paragraphs. Leaders speak in precise, brutal clarity. Leaders speak like every word carries weight because it does. Clarity beats complexity every time. And you have a choice. You can keep rambling, filling the air with noise, or you can communicate like a leader. That's the key. Why complexity undermines leadership? Think about it. When you explain too much, people tune out. People misunderstand. People question your competence. Complexity doesn't create respect. It creates confusion. It creates hesitation. It creates doubt. And doubt kills authority. Authority isn't built on how much you say. Authority is built on how clearly you say it. Clarity is power. Simplicity is influence. Brutal simplicity is leadership. Clarity beats complexity every time. Scenario 1.
The CEO who cut through noise. Picture a CEO in a crisis meeting. The company is losing revenue fast. People panic. Everyone talks over each other. Everyone gives ideas in long-winded explanations. The CEO stands. She says 3 sentences. Revenue is down. We cut costs by 15%. We focus on our top 3 clients immediately. The room stops. Everyone listens. Everyone follows. Why? Because she didn't over-explain. Because she didn't justify. Because she didn't fill space with opinions or uncertainty. She delivered the essential message. She didn't confuse the room with complexity. She gave direction, clear, immediate, actionable. Clarity beats complexity every time. You have a choice. Talk to impress or talk to move people. That's the key. Scenario 2. Military leadership in action. Military leaders operate under life-and-death conditions. No one has time for 10-minute briefings. No one has time for 50-word sentences. They use the 10-second rule. Every order must be clear in 10 seconds. Every instruction must be simple enough to be understood in a single hearing. Every message is precise and unambiguous. A platoon sergeant doesn't say, "Okay, so the enemy is possibly moving north at some point, and I think we might need to adjust our position based on intelligence, but, maybe wait for confirmation." No. He says, "Move north. Cover high ground. Move now." Do you see the difference? One communicates panic. One commands action. One creates confusion. One creates results. Clarity beats complexity every time. You don't need their permission to simplify. You don't need their validation to speak plainly. You don't need to prove your intelligence with unnecessary words. It's not about sounding smart. It's about making people act. Scenario 3. The pitch that won the deal. A startup founder prepared for a major pitch. Investors were busy. Attention spans were short. Instead of explaining the entire market, product development, and projected revenue over 10 minutes, he delivered a single 10-second pitch. We solve X problem for Y customers with Z solution. This will scale to $10 million ARR in 2 years. Pause. Silence. The investors understood immediately. They nodded. They asked smart follow-up questions. They invested. Compare that to someone who gives a 5-minute monologue full of jargon, metrics, and disclaimers. Confusion, disinterest, missed opportunity. Clarity beats complexity every time. You have a choice. Speak to impress or speak to move people. That's the key. How to create brutal clarity. You must develop a method to strip your ideas down to their core. Here's how. 1. Know your point before speaking. If you don't know what you want to say, no one else will. Decide the key message, then speak only that. 2. Limit words per sentence. Aim for 10 or less words. Every extra word dilutes authority. Every extra word introduces doubt. 3. Eliminate qualifiers. Stop saying, "I think," "maybe," "possibly," "kind of." Leaders don't hedge. Leaders command. 4. Use strong verbs. Improve instead of try to improve. Decide instead of maybe we should decide. Act instead of we should probably act. 5. Pause for impact. After a clear statement, stop. Let the words resonate. Let the silence reinforce the message. You have a choice. rush and clutter, or pause and clarify. The psychology behind brutal simplicity. Complexity gives people an excuse to question you. Simplicity forces them to act. People understand clear messages faster. They respond faster. They trust faster. The simpler your communication, the higher your perceived intelligence. The greater your perceived authority. The stronger your influence. People follow those who can be understood. People trust those who communicate decisively. People respect those who don't confuse them. It's not about being thorough. It's about being effective. It's not about impressing them. It's about moving them. Clarity beats complexity every time. Training yourself to speak clearly. Practice this daily. Step 1. Write your key message in one sentence. Step 2. Edit it down to 10 words. Step 3. Speak it aloud. Step 4. Remove anything that sounds like fluff, filler, or hedging. Step 5. Pause. Let the impact land. Do this consistently. Do this until clarity becomes instinct. Do this until every conversation you enter is a chance to deliver authority. You have a choice. You can keep talking in circles, or you can speak like a leader. Clarity beats complexity. Every time. Closing the chapter. Every word counts. Every sentence matters. Every message carries weight. You've learned how to strip ideas down to their core. You've learned how to make complex ideas actionable. You've learned how to deliver messages people will understand, remember, and act upon. You mastered simplicity. You mastered precision. Now you'll master presence, the final layer that ensures your words land like a hammer in any room.
Most people think leadership is about charisma. Most people think leadership is about passion. Most people think leadership is about showing how much you care. Wrong. Leadership is about strength under pressure. Leadership is about control over yourself. Leadership is about your voice carrying authority, not your emotions. You have a choice. You can let every trigger control your words, or you can respond with strength. That's the key. Respond with strength. Never react out of emotion. Why emotional reactions destroy authority. When you react emotionally, you show vulnerability. You give others permission to challenge you. You erode your own influence. Anger, frustration, panic, even excitement can work against you if it overtakes clarity. Think about it. The person who yells in a meeting may feel powerful, but others stop listening. They wait for the outburst to end. They focus on your tone, not your message. You don't need their approval to stay calm. You don't need their agreement to maintain control. You don't need to show them how you feel. It's not about letting emotions go unchecked. It's about channeling discipline. Respond with strength. Never react out of emotion. Case Study 1. The CEO who stayed calm. A CEO faced a hostile board meeting. Questions were sharp. Criticism was pointed. Some executives were shouting. Others were whispering. The room was chaos. He didn't raise his voice. He didn't try to defend himself. He didn't show anger or frustration. Instead, he leaned back. He took a deep breath and responded with clarity and precision. We understand the concerns. Here's the plan. Here's the data. Here's the next step. Silence followed. Authority restored. The meeting moved forward. He didn't react. He responded. That's the difference between emotion and strength. Respond with strength. Never react out of emotion. Case Study 2. The diplomat who turned tension into control. In diplomacy, emotions can destroy decades of negotiation. A diplomat faced an aggressive counterpart during high-stakes talks. The other person shouted, demanded, threatened. Most would react defensively. Most would feel insulted, anxious, or pressured. He did none of that. He paused. He chose words carefully. He maintained a calm tone. The counterpart's energy shifted. The aggressor started moderating. The conversation reached an agreement. Why? Because composure amplifies authority. Strength is far more persuasive than emotion. You don't need their agreement to be strong. You don't need to match their tone to command respect. It's not about winning arguments. It's about winning authority. The science behind emotional control. When you react emotionally, your brain releases stress chemicals. Cortisol spikes. Your thinking narrows. Your words become reactive. When you respond with strength, your brain stays in executive control. You can assess. You can strategize. You can speak with power and precision. Strength creates trust. Strength creates followership. Strength creates respect. Weakness creates chaos. Weakness creates doubt. Weakness creates rebellion. Respond with strength. Never react out of emotion. How to speak from strength. Pause before responding. Even 2 seconds can change everything. It allows your brain to assess. It allows your words to land with authority. Control your tone. A calm, steady voice signals dominance. A shaky, high-pitched emotional voice signals panic. Choose words that convey certainty. Here's what we will do. Not, I hope this works out. Not, maybe we should try. Practice neutral body language. Hands relaxed, posture upright, eyes steady. Your body communicates strength before your words even begin. Acknowledge without apologizing. You can recognize a situation without losing power. Say, I hear your concern. Here's the path forward. Not, I'm sorry if I upset anyone. Reframe your emotional response as energy, not reaction. Channel frustration into analysis. Channel anger into decision-making. Channel excitement into precision. You have a choice. You can give in to every trigger, or you can transform emotion into authority. Real-world examples. Business. An executive was criticized during a quarterly review. Instead of arguing, he listened, nodded, and responded with facts. The room respected his composure. He maintained influence. Politics. A politician faced aggressive questioning on live television. Instead of reacting, she paused, framed her response, and delivered it calmly. Public perception favored her authority. Military. A field commander was ambushed. Instead of panicking, he issued clear orders. His troops followed immediately, saving lives. All of them practiced the same principle. Respond with strength, never react out of emotion. Transformational practices. Daily pause drills. Practice waiting 3 to 5 seconds before answering any question. Mirror exercises. Speak your statements in a calm, authoritative tone. Record and listen. Adjust. Stress simulation. Put yourself in high-pressure scenarios. Practice maintaining composure. Word choice discipline. Replace emotional phrases with strong, action-oriented statements. You are training your voice, your mind, and your presence simultaneously. Strength becomes instinctive. Emotion becomes a tool, not a liability. Closing the chapter. The world rewards those who respond, not those who react. It follows those who control themselves, not those who are controlled by feelings. It respects those who maintain clarity under pressure, not those who fill space with emotion. You have the discipline now. You have the tools now. You have the choice now. Respond with strength or give in to emotion. Respond with strength. Never react out of emotion. You mastered authority over emotion. Next, we will explore the final layer of communication mastery, the ability to command every room, every audience, and every interaction.
Every leader has one defining tool. Not a title, not a fancy office, not even a vision. Your voice. How you speak. What you say. How you carry it. Your voice is the standard. It sets expectations. It establishes culture. It defines your presence. You have a choice. You can speak without authority, or you can lead with your voice. That's the key. Your voice is the standard. Lead with it. The principle of leadership through communication. Leaders understand this. Tone matters. Clarity matters. Consistency matters. Your words become the rules. Your tone becomes the rhythm. Your presence becomes the culture. If you speak nervously, your team mirrors that. If you waffle, people hesitate. If you over-explain, doubt spreads. But when your voice is disciplined, people listen, people follow, people respect. It's not about being loud. It's about being authoritative. It's not about impressing them. It's about commanding them. Your voice is the standard. Lead with it. Scenario 1. Business leadership. A CEO walks into a boardroom. Revenue is down. Staff morale is low. Decisions are critical. Some leaders might panic. Some might explain endlessly. Some might apologize for outcomes they didn't control. This CEO stands. He speaks clearly. Revenue is down. We know why. Here's the plan. Execute it. No excuses. Boom. Silence. Attention. Action. Every team member understands the expectation. Every subordinate mirrors the confidence of the voice they hear. Every decision now carries clarity. Your voice is the standard. Lead with it. Scenario 2. Family leadership. Leadership isn't only in business. It's in your home. Parents who speak without authority breed confusion. Children follow chaos, not guidance. A parent sets a rule. Homework is done by 7 p.m. No exceptions. Not yelled, not debated, not justified. Just spoken with clarity and consistency. Children, surprisingly, respond better to calm authority than emotional pleas. The standard is established. Expectations are clear. Respect is earned. Discipline follows. Your voice defines the environment. Your presence enforces it. Your voice is the standard. Lead with it. Scenario 3. Movement and public influence. Look at public figures, activists, or leaders of movements. Their power isn't in slogans alone. It's in their delivery, their cadence, their unwavering tone. A leader can say a single sentence and shift a crowd, not because of the words, because of the authority, because of the consistency, because of the presence behind it. Your voice sets expectations for how people should behave. Your tone signals what's acceptable. Your pause communicates weight. If your communication wavers, the movement wavers. If your voice falters, the team hesitates. If your words lack authority, influence collapses. Your voice is the standard. Lead with it.
How to build leadership identity through voice. Consistency in tone. Speak with the same authority in every setting. Meetings, one-on-one conversations, public presentations. Consistency builds expectation. Expectation builds respect. Clarity in message. Reduce complexity. Eliminate filler words. Deliver messages that are easy to understand and hard to ignore. Clarity is credibility. Presence in delivery. Stand tall, speak slowly, pause strategically. Your presence enhances your voice. Presence is your silent authority. Reinforce standards verbally. Say what you expect, then stop. Repeat when necessary. Do not waver or apologize for firmness. Lead by example. When you follow your own standard, people follow yours. Your voice sets their rhythm. Your voice sets their mindset. Your voice sets their limits. You have a choice. You can let your voice drift, or you can make it the standard. That's the key. Your voice is the standard. Lead with it. Real-world applications. Business teams. Managers who speak clearly and decisively see faster execution, higher morale, and fewer mistakes. Teams know expectations because they hear authority, not hesitation. Family units. Parents who communicate with calm authority experience smoother routines, better compliance, and mutual respect. Children internalize leadership as a model. Movements and public leadership. Activists and leaders with disciplined communication draw crowds, inspire action, and maintain loyalty. Their voice becomes the anchor amid chaos. It doesn't matter where you lead. It doesn't matter the scale. It doesn't matter the medium. Your voice always sets the standard. Your voice always shapes the environment. Your voice is the standard. Lead with it. Daily practices to master your voice. Record and listen. Speak as if your team or audience is listening. Correct inconsistencies. Strengthen tone. Practice pausing. Use silence strategically. Let your words carry weight. Let your presence be felt before you speak. Review your vocabulary. Eliminate filler words and weak language. Every word should reinforce authority. Mirror exercises. Watch your posture and facial expressions. Your body communicates your leadership as strongly as your words. Lead in small spaces. Start with one meeting, one conversation, one interaction. Build consistency. Expand authority. You have a choice. You can remain reactive and inconsistent, or you can let your voice define every standard, expectation, and outcome. Your voice is the standard. Lead with it. Closing the book. Every chapter you've absorbed leads to this moment. You've learned to speak less, mean more. You've eliminated weak language. You've controlled tone, pace, and emotion. You've used silence as leverage. You've delivered clear, simple messages. You've responded with strength, not emotion. Now your final tool is mastery of the standard itself, your voice. It shapes culture. It shapes action. It shapes respect. Lead with it consistently. Lead with it intentionally. Lead with it without apology. Your team, your family, your organization, or your movement will rise or fall based on the standard you set. You have a choice. You can whisper like everyone else, or you can set the bar. Your voice is the standard. Lead with it. This is your final challenge. From this moment forward, speak as the standard. Act as the standard. Live as the standard. Your audiobook is now complete. All 10 chapters have been scripted with authoritative, tough love,
highly repeatable language, real-world examples, and transformation-focused instructions. If you want, I can now compile all chapters into a single, ready-to-narrate audiobook manuscript, formatted for spoken audio with hooks, transitions, and chapter cues.
You have learned the truth. Leadership is not a position, it is a presence. And your presence is shaped by the voice you choose to use. Every word you speak can elevate you or expose you. Every sentence can build authority or break it. Today, you have mastered the discipline of fewer words, stronger tone, calmer delivery, slower pace, and the silence that leaders wield like a blade. Remember this: you don't speak to be liked. You speak to be understood. You don't talk to fill space. You talk to shape direction. Your voice sets the standard. Every room you enter, every decision you make, every challenge you face. Now it is your turn. Starting today, speak like someone who leads. Speak like someone who knows. Speak like someone who cannot be ignored. Step forward and use your voice, not to get attention, but to command respect. Your leadership begins now.